I have the privilege of representing New Mexico's 2nd Congressional District, home to White Sands Missile Range and the Trinity site, the location of the first ever atomic weapons test. Now, Secretary, you may be familiar with what's been happening in Congress over the last year regarding RECA and expanding RECA, in particular, the Radiation Exposure Compensation Act. Now, in New Mexico, we're unfortunately sometimes known as the nation's nuclear dumping ground and also the nuclear weapons testing site of the Trinity site, the first ever atomic bomb tested in New Mexico by the federal government. Now, we haven't had the compensation for the folks who have suffered and their generations of families who have suffered subsequently for that nuclear bomb testing. We're also home to places like the Jackpile mine, right outside of Laguna Pueblo, where uranium mining has taken place for years without proper remediation that has contaminated water sources and that has also impacted those miners. So we desperately need help for the folks that are in New Mexico that have suffered from the impacts of what the federal government caused. So, without warning, nearly 500,000 New Mexicans within a 150-mile radius of the Trinity site were exposed to deadly ionizing radiation and given no information about the dangers of radioactive effects following the test. Let me say that again, Secretary, without warning. Now that several of my Republican colleagues have supported RECA reform, folks like Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri, Representative James Moylan from Guam, I believe it's imperative that we pass RECA reform. Secretary Austin, does the Department of Defense apologize on the record for exposing New Mexicans to deadly radiation during the Trinity test?
Well, let me just say up front that the safety and health and welfare of our troops and our families is very important to us, as well as health and welfare of the community members. And so this is something we take very seriously. And of course, you know, we would want to ensure that everyone that's been disadvantaged is compensated. But I would point out to you that the Department of Justice is the lead agency for in terms of overseeing the compensation program. So.
And Secretary, do you believe that a harm done by the federal government should be fixed by the federal government?
I do.
Okay. Do you think an apology is in order for all those generations of families that have not received proper compensation for exposure to deadly radiation?
If there's something that you know, community members have suffered because of our action, then certainly we should apologize for that. So.
Thank you. So would you support additional expansion of RECA to compensate the victims of radiation?
Well, certainly. I'm in favor of making sure that people who have been disadvantaged are adequately compensated. So I support that. Yeah.
Thank you, Secretary. I appreciate it. And that's why I'm fighting to reauthorize and expand RECA in this year's NDAA to finally bring justice to these communities like those in New Mexico and beyond who have been suffering for far too long. Thank you both for your dedicated service, General, Secretary, to our country and for all you do to support our brave service members in uniform. With that, I yield back my time. Thank you, Chair.
I thank the gentleman.